I think I'm live. Well, I can't tell. Yeah, I think I'm live. So guys, am I live? Are you able to hear me? Yes, no, maybe. Okay, first of all, I'm a little short on breath because I kind of ran. Oh, I am. Okay, I am. Perfect. Superb. So the thing I was doing is getting this sheet so I can actually answer your questions judiciously. I was sort of taking off my spectacles, but yeah, there they are. So, what is? Oh my God, there's too many. How I got into direct. Okay, that's the end, the FAQs. So that'll be fun. I think I should monitor the live event better. Okay, stream status is good. 7:20 p.m. Oh my God. Okay, really good. Here's the thing. So I'll just take it from the top if that's okay with you guys. How's your work-life balance? Pretty good, as you can see. Hello, man. Yes, you. Okay. How do I get in direct eye is one question that I can see. Can below 500 rank in both data structure and algorithm section hacker? Yeah, it can. But, you know, consistency is one of those things which always helps. So it can help. And you could get selected. So for example, what did happen with a lot of people in my college and including me was that our aggregates weren't good. You know, our CADs were terrible. And we were working on algorithms and projects. So we did kind of okay, yeah, overall. Oh, are you guys able to hear me? Is the sound quality okay? Too much lag is one of the, okay, I'll try to improve that. Someone just said something about sound quality. Video is lagging, okay. I better have a look. Right. So can you do a placements course? Yeah, that's technically what we are doing. I mean, to a large extent. I'm sorry if I'm sounding like a moron, but you know, yeah. So the video is lagging. Okay, that's one of the things I can see. How do I actually improve that? I could reduce the quality of the image. You guys could try to reduce the quality of the image, maybe, because the internet connection, too bad. What kind of problem should I solve on a regular basis to improve analytical and problem skills? Okay, that's question number 2. Okay, that's quite good. How to break into software engineering industry at age 45? That's interesting. And there's okay. The easiest question to answer is Ankush Virmani, which is, are you in the backend team of Flock? And that's true. Yes, I am. Okay. Sound is breaking. Is that still happening? Is the sound breaking? Is it a major thing now? So you know what? What's the time right now? 9:06. Okay. 1 more minute of making sure that all the technical things are ready, so that after that we can just start. Can you guys hear me? I mean, I think. Okay. There's a lot of questions. Okay. It's still lagging. Sound is still breaking. Damn it. Okay. What I'll do then is try to remove this this thing I have here. First thing I can try to do is actually reduce the image quality, maybe. The second thing I can do is look at how do I change the microphone. Yeah. So inbuilt. Save this. I'll just remove this. Okay. Did the sound quality improve now? We have our last 30 seconds. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to take that as a yes from you guys. Okay. Great. Fine. So let's take the first question, which is, how did I get into direct eye? I think we can start there. What did happen? Yeah. Sound quality. So what did happen was when I was in college, there was this time when we were all studying for placements, and I did get placed into this company called Morgan Stanley. And after that, what did happen is there were some training sessions at Morgan Stanley, during which time direct eye contacted me in case I'm interested in an offer. And then after sitting for the interviews, I did get selected. Now, I have simplified this to a large extent. What actually happened is I started getting really interested in comparative programming. after getting placed at Morgan Stanley. And that's one of the reasons why I was able to clear the algorithms interview at Direct at that time. This is approximately 3.5 years ago. So at that time, computer programming was relatively new, at least for me. And once I got into Direct, I kind of realized that this is something which people are taking up regularly, just doing computer programming all the time so that they improve at algorithms and data structures. Okay, from which college have I graduated? That is Father Concesio Rodriguez College of Engineering, which is in Mumbai. It's Mumbai University affiliated, so that's the college I'm from. And it's a pretty good college, actually. If you don't get into good colleges, can you tell me how we can apply off campus? Now, you can apply off campus in any of the careers websites that the companies have. It's not that hard to apply. Of course, getting a call is going to be based on your resume. You will have to be in the shortlist, which requires some sort of ability to stand out. One of the things I find really useful here is how good you are at competitions. So when you compete, when there's people against you, or when there's people at least in the contest, if you're doing well there, then it's a good sign. So contests are one of the things. Presentations are another thing. Presentations mainly come from projects, so that's pretty important. And yeah, in general, basically make sure that you stand out through your profile. And for that, you need to make your profile strong. So you need to do something about projects and contests. I don't know why I'm still short of breath. Maybe I'm scared with you guys. Okay. Does CG matter for Direct? Oh, what's CG? Computer graphics? I loved it, but no, it doesn't matter for Direct, I know. But then if you love something, then you learn different things with that. So I kind of learned a little bit of artificial intelligence through computer graphics, because the game needed to be smart. The game couldn't be dumb. So I wanted it to look beautiful. And at the same time, I had to look at AI to make it actually internally beautiful also. Is computer programming required for data science? No, 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 not at all. Although a little bit of mathematical background and algorithms are useful. So yeah. Okay. If you cannot, okay, so Sachin Mukherjee is asking, I understand algorithms well, but fail to implement them from scratch. What should I do to get better at implementing algorithms? It's a boring answer, but it's true. You just need to practice, and you need to be a little more aware of the nuances of any language, any programming language. So you might need to look into a little bit of bitwise manipulation, etc., etc. Most algorithms are pretty obvious to understand, and unless you're going for difficult algorithms, the algorithms are easy to understand, but then also implementing them is another thing. So you need to be comfortable with the language, and you need to be comfortable with the algorithm. So if you have both of those things, that's when you're good at computer program. That's why I think it's one of the best ways to practice for algorithms and data structures. About okay, Faisal is asking, sir, tell me something about Android development. I did take a course, a nano degree thing, which I got a scholarship for, Android development. But like with most MOOCs, I was amongst the guys who failed. Like I didn't pursue it all the way. So I know very little about Android development, and I don't think I'll do justice to the subject. Akshat Sharma is asking for how do I prepare for internship interview? Yeah, internship interview. Yeah. So it's very similar to how you prepare for a normal interview, except that for an internship, you're not really expected to have too much experience. So your evaluation metric is mainly how good you are at problem solving and how good you are at gelling in a team. So it's mainly to do with, I think, your interpersonal skills. And I mean, of course, your technical skills do come into the picture. So if you have done a project, you're far ahead of many people who are applying for the same internship. Okay. Interesting. What are the things in the resume which stand out by applying for companies like that? I think I just mentioned this, although I'll do it again. It's projects, presentations, and contest performance. These three things do stand out. Of course, if you're doing something which is very specific to the company, like if your project is really aligned to what they're doing, that shows that you would be a good fit, at least technically, in the team. So yeah, that really is good. So you could actually take a resume and change it according to the requirement, depending on which company you're joining. So yeah, I mean, according to the requirement, basically. How long did it take me to master DS and Algo?
I would say I got a little comfortable with DS and algo when my math became a little stronger, so that I could reason about the algorithms much better. So once that happened, I kind of became, I wouldn't say extremely interested because the interest was always there, but I would say that I became more comfortable with algorithms. I could just read an algorithm and kind of understand that, okay, this is the mathematical proof behind it. This means that I can relate this algorithm to some other algorithm which I know, and I can actually understand the core principle behind these algorithms. So I'm still not an expert, of course. I'm not a great algorithmist, but now at least I feel a little comfortable when getting into any contest or something. Although I haven't got into any contest for the last years or something, so it's been a long time. Okay, all caps, Saurabh Mishra. So Saurabh Sharma, I'm so sorry. Avoid this all caps, but what sort of projects do you guys look for? Okay, I'm doing a reverse incentive thing. What sort of projects do we look for? It depends on the company, like I said. It depends on what the company is doing. So with Directa, it's an umbrella of companies, so there's nothing specific you can nail down. So that's one of the good things. Similarly with Google or any large company, if you have a large company, you have many products, so you can't exactly say that this is going to be really interesting to them. There's multiple things which are interesting. Most of them are part of your syllabus, so don't worry. How to manage gate and comparative coding? Okay, anonymous bot. Okay, how to manage gate and comparative coding? I think they're completely different in many ways. Gate is a lot of theoretical computer science, which you need to be. You need to have good theory and you need to have a good understanding of how those algorithms work. But comparative coding is a lot to do with the implementation also, and a lot to do with solving problems quickly. So I think they're quite different, and it would be better if you take them in 2 different ways. Hey, Gaurav, startup corporate jobs for a start. That is Aditya Srivastav. This is interesting. Startups actually provide you a lot of scope. I mean, the scope for growth over there is really large, but there's also that risk that the startup may not work. In that case, you might just lose your job. So if you do lose your job, the problem is your growth thing just stopped. While for a corporate company, what does happen is you're initially sent to do the smaller tasks, which are like fixing stuff and understanding the system and understanding principles, learning. So it's slow growth, but it's ensured growth. While startups are usually not so well paying, I'm talking about in general a good corporate company versus a very small startup, right? The startup, if it has already made money, then it's not really a startup. That's not a technical definition. Although everyone claims to be a startup these days, but yeah, that's the main difference. There's more risk here. There's higher chance of returns in the sense that you might get more responsibilities. It might really work out and you might become really big. And here there's a more clear path for progress, but it's also maybe not as exciting as a startup. But for all the hype around startups, I don't know. I would suggest a corporate company also has the similar opportunities to learn if you really want to. While in a startup, you'll be enforced. I mean, you'll be asked to do these things 100%. So it depends on your personality, and it also depends on what you're looking for at the current point of time. Tesla versus Google versus Directa. I haven't worked in Tesla. I haven't worked in Google. Directa, yeah. I mean, I have worked just there, so I can't even answer this question. Abhijit Sharma, I'm sorry. Praveen Ojha, what are some good open source organizations associated with machine learning and AI? So Kaggle has these really good contests, which are held, I think, every few weeks. So you can have a look at those contests because they are open source. I mean, the code is mostly made open source, or there are notes in which people describe how they came about the idea. And yeah, that's one of the places where you can go for machine learning. AI, well, if you're talking about games or if you're talking about something else, there's many sources. So these are general concepts. Yeah. So Rakesh Senapati is asking me an interesting question. Okay. Forgetting how an algorithm works, does that happen to you? Yes, all the time. In fact, it happens so often that if I don't prepare for a presentation or something, sometimes this has happened in Directa, where I'm presenting and there's someone listening to me and I just forget the algorithm and then I try to dodge it. I say, no, we are getting too complicated and stuff. And people get so irritated at that time. But yeah, I do forget. I do forget the things I've taught on video, in fact. It happens, yeah. Okay. Saurabh Sharma is asking me, please make videos on Kaggle contests. I don't think I can. I don't think I'm skilled enough right now. I don't know much about machine learning. It's just mainly the theory. I've never, in fact, implemented something worthwhile in machine learning. So it would not do me justice. I mean, if I could, I would have had videos on this channel right now. Okay, so I'm really interested. I'm interested in learning. I will learn it eventually because I never give up. But yeah, it'll take some time. Interview bit in 3 months before interview good. Interview bit reminds me of some things. Oh, okay. I think it's good. I think I checked out the site. Akshat Sharma is asking me this interview bit. It's a good site. You should have a look at it. It's in fact quite organized and well structured. I mean, quite organized and well structured mean the same thing. But yeah, it's pretty good. I think you should have a look at it. Okay, Varun ago, I'll just scream something. I'm not going to go through it. Negative incentive. You can put it in small. You know, you don't need to put it in caps. Okay, how many hours do I code every day? Well, there's my job, so that actually adds up quite a bit of hours. But by myself, I think very little. I don't think I code much. As for programming contests, almost none. It's almost zero, honestly. Flock backend is built in Java is asked by Satya Singh. Well, the thing is that is confidential, so we can't tell you. I'm so sorry. Hare Krishna Mahatu. Hello. So, Ankush Virmani, also I work in DirectI different. Is your work in DirectI different from normal backend work like API calls analyzing, making APIs and all such stuff? Not really, not really. If you're working on the backend of any company, you are dealing with a lot of API, building APIs, maintaining APIs and stuff. There will be consumers of your API, which will be the application engines, which will be consuming your API, and you will be building the platform, or you might be working a lot with the database. So that's one of the really interesting things about being the backend engineer. You know, you build something and people are consuming it all the time. So then that's one of the nice things. What is my role in DirectI? I'm a platform engineer. I work on building platforms like the railway platforms that we have. But if you think of it, actually it is. I mean, when you build a platform, any train can come on it. So similarly, over here, any application can come and consume the platform. So yeah, that's what I do. Technology is necessary to learn. Oh my God. What languages frameworks have you worked? Okay, let me slow this down a lot. I have a set of questions for you guys. Okay, let's start with something quite simple. What books would I recommend? Game of Thrones, yeah. Okay, I thought that we'll start off with something lighthearted. So I had all these lighthearted questions, but you guys seem all charged up for the real questions. Okay, okay. Does anyone want to hear what book recommendations I have, or I'll just skip it? 3, 2, 1. Skip. Yay. Okay. One of the things I wanted to answer is, like, I've got this question quite often, is why have we moved to system design? Yeah. So this channel was mainly focused on comparative programming, and recently we have really started focusing on system design. One of the reasons for that is because system design is an important part. After you are successful in your interviews and you're successful as a software engineer, you know, becoming a software engineer for a corporate, for a startup, whatever you like, you need to know how systems are built. So when it comes to that, I have seen quite a few people lacking knowledge, including me. I mean, of course, I lacked knowledge in many ways, but I'm seeing this sort of a, maybe I'm over, you know, I'm using a very strong word, but it's like an epidemic where there's a lot of people who are trying to get onto the next barrier. And that's what is happening in Indian education in general. Whether it's 10th, I need to pass this with really good marks, and then they get to 12th, and then they're like, oh, I need IIT, and they go somewhere, and then they pick up computer science because it's the best thing, and then they get into comparative programming because that's the best way to learn algorithms, because they want placements. And once they're done with placements, then they want that promotion, so they're looking for switching jobs and stuff. I think I get too many controversial statements in a very short span of time, but it is true by what I understand. So what I want to do is, through this channel, I actually want to help people, but not to put them in the next level, or not to just scrape them through to the next level. I actually want to help people in general. I want them to get smarter. I want, okay, this is going to be a big thing. I want our country to get smarter. I want our country to build better and smarter software engineers. I'm not the smartest software engineer, so I'm not saying that, hey, learn from me, but I think I can help a lot of people. So that's my motto. And yeah, it feels kind of embarrassing to say such big things, but yes, that's what I want. And one of the things that I can do to get involved in this is to actually provide content, like educational content, to people who need it. There's not a lot of places where our teachers have the time or the resources, or sometimes even the skill to teach us these things. So system design is one of those things, and algorithms is another thing that I think I can actually save your time, and I can maybe help you out when it comes to that. So why have we moved to system design? Well, because algorithms, I think we have taken to a reasonable extent. There's been a long time since we have been focusing on algorithms. Now I'm getting to system design, and it's important. So I think we have switched context for some time. The next thing is, when are we heading back to CP? That's another question I'm asked. Very soon, probably next. We'll be shifting from CP to algorithms from CP to system design from time to time. But I think we need to head back to CP and talk a little bit about graphs now. I've been asking you guys for poll votes, and it would be a shame if I couldn't actually live up to that, poll. So I'll just try to shift soon enough. Okay. What's the next thing? Can we watch your videos in sequence for system design? Shubham Sati. I'll try to put it in sequence. So in fact, the things are in sequence, I think, to the best of my knowledge, because I have taken the topics one by one, and it hasn't ever been that the prerequisites for the video don't exist in the system design playlist. So you can just have a look at the system design playlist. I think it's much better made than my usual playlists, which are a little haphazard. But this is pretty well structured, I think. So you can just start from the first video and just go forward. Okay. Okay, 3MB Super Dude is saying that I'm a fresher and I love DS and algorithms. I haven't done any projects. I hate web development. Which domain should I work on so I can build my portfolio? Okay. So if you're looking for being an engineer and you hate web development, that's okay. But don't let that hate come in between you and doing well. I don't understand why would anyone hate something, because I mean, why would you hate that? It's not like it's personally against you or something. So don't hate it. That's all. And the second thing is, if you find the things over there very boring, which is more likely the case, then you can always shift. There's tons of things to work on. And maybe you like databases. Maybe you like, I don't know, algorithms. If you like algorithms a lot, just get into the theoretical computer science bit. It's got tons and tons of algorithms. Compilers require a lot of text processing. There's lots of places where you can apply. But remember this. You will not have the same interest for the next 20, 30 years. So don't be so sure about what you like right now as being the concrete thing that you'll follow for the rest of your life. Yeah, so don't hate something just like that. I mean, I don't like web development either, honestly. It's not something that I'm very comfortable with, but I need to build a site. There's been a long time since I've been thinking about this, that I need to build a site so that people can directly contact me and stuff, but it's just not happening. And that's because I'm really poor at HTML and JavaScript. Like the things I make, when people see them, they use it for horror movies. So it's pretty bad. Okay, which is the best way to learn big data, cloud computing? Rishabh Garg is asking, Android or any new technology which has very best scope in future. Now, if I could tell you that, I would have been studying that myself. But what I can tell you is that you can have an attitude which helps you in getting better at one thing. Pick up one of these topics, the one which you feel is the closest to you. I think Android development and any technology that we pick up right now is going to be very, very short-sighted. I mean, it's saying that this is going to last for the next 10 years or 15 years, which is your at least your career in the tech world, if you're thinking of a long career in the tech world. No technology right now is constant. I don't think Java is going to last for the next 10 years also. I mean, 10 years down the line, there'll be lots of people who will be like, Java? It could be. And so you need to keep moving. You need to keep shifting. And the languages that you pick up are not not based on the intelligence you have, it's just on how good the language is. And you need to be able to evaluate things not based on what you find comfortable, but mainly on what is the right thing to do. So don't pick up technologies and say this is what's going to work out in the future. There's lots of languages which come up with a lot of promise, and they just, you know, they sync without a trace sometimes. They do extremely well sometimes. So betting on languages like betting on shares. You would do much better to be betting on mutual funds. Yeah, what am I saying? Yeah, basically mutual funds would be like, you know, an amalgamation of lots of languages. So learning computer science, yeah, that's what we're talking about. Embedded systems, Rahul SH, question mark question. What about embedded systems? Okay, Aman Nidhi, why are you not competing in compared programming? That's a hashtag repeat. Oh my God, why am I not competing in compared programming? Well, I don't have the time. I don't have the inclination. I feel like Jack Nicholson right now. I don't have the time or the inclination to explain myself to a man who rises and sleeps under the. No, not really. I just don't have the time. Honestly, it takes a lot of effort, and I commend you guys to be, you know, comparative programmers. It takes a lot of time. I don't find that time apart from my YouTube channel, the job I have, and every other thing that I do. I mean, I also try to keep myself up to date with some things. So no time, and the interest has seriously gone down tremendously. I've seen this in a lot of comparative programmers of my time, basically about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and they have stopped. I think it makes a lot of sense because comparative programming is not really the most fruitful way to learn algorithms, according to me. Like once you are in the job, before you are in the job, when you're starting and you're reaching a particular level, I would say it's the most efficient way to get better at algorithms. So there's that, I would say, phase when you kind of realize that this is not feasible anymore, and you need to build by yourself instead of through contests. I'll just pick up the sheet which fell down. The sheet is like a lifeline for me. I'm just holding it on for dear life. Okay, I'm in class 11. How do I start comparative? Oh wow, okay. Joshu 2002 is in class 11. He wants to start comparative programming along with JEE preparation. That's interesting. Well, I haven't been in your place, to be honest. Before I reached college, I hadn't even touched a program. I mean, I had never typed anything, not even system.out.println, or not even hello world, basically in C. So it's really nice that you are preparing for JEE along this. And I think you can, to some extent. There's going to be a lot of pressure though from your coaching class, from probably people around you to focus more on JEE. Is it worth it to do comparative programming? That's a difficult question. I can't say. Comparative programming seems to be helping people more during their second and third year, or even first year, than their 12th. So that would be starting a little early. But if you like it, then there's nothing like it. I mean, you can do it during a free time. So that would be wonderful. And I would be very pleased to see you doing well. There's so many young students in India who are doing extremely well in comparative programming, far better than lots of people. So best of luck. How is embedded systems as a career? Okay, Rahul SH, I'm going to be stopping seeing your questions. How to improve problem solving ability? Okay. So I think there's a lot of general questions that we have answered. Let's the time. Oh, all right, it's about half an hour. That's really good. So let's pick up an interesting doubt. All these doubts are, by the way, sent by you guys. So yeah. Well, in general, I have some advice for people who are asking doubts, but I think I'll take it later so that I don't sound like a moron. Okay, Rushal is asking, why don't you ask your colleagues to put more videos on the channel? I could. They'll disagree, and that's it. End of story. Okay, and Uncle Chand, great thoughts. So thank you, Nicole. Thank you. I was hoping for that. I was looking for that confirmation that you guys can even hear me. But thank you. Yeah. Dijut Singh Kapoor says, how is Geeks for Geeks? Now, do you want the honest evaluation, or do you want well, Geeks for Geeks is really useful when you're studying for your placements because it explains your algorithms one by one. But there are certain companies which have a set of questions on which they base their interviews. And it's sad to see that, because these companies could probably take a little more effort to build questions by themselves. I won't name any, and I don't think I'll blame them too much either. It takes a lot of effort, if I think of it. But I've seen Geeks for Geeks, the site. I mean, people picking up questions from there like a question bank, and then giving it in an interview. So what's happened is the interviewers are asking those kind of questions, and I can't blame the interviewees, people who are applying for these jobs, just reading all of Geeks for Geeks, just reading as much as they can so that they can clear their interviews. And this is a fault of companies. I don't forgive companies, although it might be hard. You need to come up with better questions. You can't expect to ask a question from Geeks for Geeks or Hacker Earth or Lead Code or something, and then just say that, oh, well, I didn't have the time to prepare new questions. Then you are going to have people who will game the system. You'll have people who will be picking up from a question bank, and they'll basically be knowing that, okay, I need to use this algorithm somehow, some way in this question, and they will. So I'm really irritated with companies. DirectEye doesn't do it, so maybe that's why I feel like I feel like, wow, this is normal. Maybe other companies, most companies do this, but at least in DirectEye, we don't pick up questions from a site. If someone does it, then they're picking it up randomly, which makes it even tougher than a general thing. So we build questions ourselves, and the questions are difficult, and they're new, and they're designed to test you mentally. So that's one of the good things about DirectEye, and I'm really proud of the recruitment culture we have here. It's designed to weed out people who are trying to game the system. It's designed to weed out people who are trying to game the system. Wow, that doesn't make sense, but yeah, you get my point. Yeah. Okay, Bhavuk Sharma is asking tips to counter an interviewer when you don't know a solution to a problem, to a tricky problem. Also, how about going on preparing for graph-based and string-based questions? And you love what you're doing. Oh, hi. So, graph-based and string-based. Now, why would you get there? Well, in general, if you're preparing for algorithms, it should be enough. And oh, I just lost your question. I better get back to that. Yeah. If you don't know a solution to a problem, you could give brute force solutions. That's also acceptable. That's good, actually. Yeah, you're doing pretty well if you have brute force solutions. If you don't have brute force solutions, then I'm sorry to say that, yeah, this interview didn't go well. That's what you can take from that, and you can learn from it. But there's not really much you can do to trick the interviewer, because usually they have a solution set with them. Even if they don't, once they figure out, the offer's going to go. Like, okay, this is a hypothetical scenario. I'm not talking about DirectEye here. I'm not representing any company now when I say this. Assume that you did really well in your interview by fooling the interviewer. Do you think the next round is going to be easy for you? Food for thought. So, is Narasimha Karumanchi a good book to learn from? I've heard this, people use it for placements. I really can't comment. I haven't actually read the book. How can I apply for off-campus? All right, just keep moving forward. Does a developer know the algorithms behind the function they're using, say, for example, in Android development? Okay, Roma Das, I'll be honest with you. Sometimes the developers don't know about this, but if they are that kind of a developer, I really don't see why they don't know about the functions that they're using, the complexity behind that. Some developers don't, but they aren't good developers. Good developers always know at least the algorithmic complexity behind the function that they're using. The really good developers know about how the function is being implemented, so they can reason about what's going to happen. And but it's not like really good developers always code the thing by themselves. It's not like they implement the things by themselves. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, you use library functions because they are tested. They are, they're tested by lots of people. There have been performance tests on that. So yeah, it's the best thing that you can do if you trust the library makers. Okay, I'll just have a look at whether I'm invisible. Yeah, I'm visible. Oh my God. Okay. In which Slack channels are you connected now? Hey, I work for Flock. Okay. My thoughts on CodeChef certification. Okay, CCD, SAP. Well, CodeChef certification should be useful. It does teach you about algorithms in a structured way. rather the certification asks you to learn about them in a structured way. I think they do have classes for these certifications. It might be useful, it may not be for you, but it's always good to have something which is branded from something like CodeChef. It's not necessary though to get placed. I mean, I don't think so, because the only company it will be, I'm gonna skip the trail of thought over there because I think it's getting risky. Why am I doing this? Please do a system design video on GitHub. Well, GitHub, well, I could do one on Git. I could do on the Git internals. And I think I've already taken a presentation, not online, but yeah, I can do that. When I have Puranik, I will be doing that. Thank you. Devil's Yard, I'm leaving. You're not answering my question. Bye-bye. Arpit Kaushik, how to prepare for ACM ICPC? Okay. Well, Arpit, you need a team, which in my college, I didn't have a team. And it was Melvin Saldana. I'll just get back to your question. I'm sorry. You need to build a team. You need to have some good teammates in that team. And for ACM ICPC, it's similar to just preparing for comparative programming. Like you're practicing and practicing. You pick up different concepts. You try to get better at contests. Your performance, if it improves, is good. If you get a coach who knows about comparative programming, that's brilliant. But most colleges in India don't have a coach, so to speak. So it will be difficult, but it's best to just start. Just pick a team. Try to solve the old ACM ICPC contests, and if you do well, then that's great, right? Okay, there's Melvin. Melvin, what is your approach when you are facing a difficult choices in life in general? Okay, wow. Okay, I didn't expect this question. What's my approach? I kind of try to weigh the odds for the risk and returns. Usually the higher risk has high returns. And if that is not the case, if the lower risk has high returns, then I always go there. I mean, that's a no-brainer. But what I try to do is I also try to look around and try to see what are people doing and how many of them are succeeding. If a lot of people are succeeding in high risk, high returns, then that probably means it is not as high risk as I'm thinking about, right? In a weird way, because a lot of people are succeeding, that means the success ratio is high. So in general, for example, let's say I try to do this completely insane project. I try to pick it up and I try to solve it within 2 months. I need to think about how much time can I invest in, being honest to myself, and then I choose the project which is either very difficult or very easy, depending on my evaluation. It's still not very clear. I don't think I'm experienced enough in life. I'm just 25 now, so I think there's a lot to learn even now. But yeah, in general, just don't go with the flow. Try to evaluate both positions. Okay. Satyam Sharma, list some computer science projects. Okay. I mean, you can find it, dude. You can find lots. Michelle Rodriguez, how to be good at graph problems? Maybe by drawing on the board, because the code for graph problems are not so obvious in many areas. I mean, Dijkstra's is one of those things where you look at the code and you're like, oh, wow. But once you actually run through the code and you're drawing on the board or you're drawing on your notebook, it becomes a lot more obvious in some ways. So that's the reason why you need a lot of diagrams for graph problems. Graph problems also one of the good things about them is that you can actually visualize these things, and the prose or the text in that problem is much more useful than the mathematical notations in that problem. So have a look at that, right? Okay, AI career in DirectI is being asked by Rahul Thakur. Well, to be honest with you, right now, no. I mean, an AI career in India is going to be based more on the simple parts of AI, which would be spam detection stuff. But there are already companies which are doing that in the US. So I don't see too much of a like full-fledged AI engineer in DirectI. Not DirectI, India doing too well. But what I could see is that in future we might really have wonderful AI opportunities in India. And the second thing is, if you're really good, then you could always head to those countries, or you could always head to those companies at least, which are doing a lot of AI. How to start with machine learning and how to become an expert? Well, I don't really know, Pila Ramu. I'm sorry. I'm not so good at machine learning that I'll be able to comment on that. Um, okay. Surya Kumar is saying, I'm working on automation. I'm looking for a Java dev position. Okay. Best of luck. Best of luck. You'll do well. Aman Nidhi, do you think software developers always have an option to change domain from web dev to data engineering, data science? No, I don't think so, because web development and data science are very different things. You need to study for one of the things. Of course, it's easier for a person in the software engineering field to move on to data science compared to a person who's not from a mathematical field. So in that sense, yes, but in the general sense, not really. I mean, a statistician can also easily move into data science. So it doesn't speak too much for us as software engineers, but yeah. Okay, Sri Vishnu, because half of your statement is a shout, I will forgive that. And there's, what's my position on TCP and IP? Yeah, it's a little difficult. It's a low-level programming thing. It's like programming in binary versus programming in ASM. ASM is easier. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's challenging, more challenging than programming on the high level. Abhijit Sharma says, I'm going to be sacked tonight. You never know. Vivek Podar, any tips on solving tree-based problems? Well, not really. Again, trees are like graphs essentially, so you can visualize them, you can probably draw them. Trees are a little more simple compared to general graphs, so you could do without the diagrams so much. But when it comes to difficult problems, you have to go for the diagrams. Even arrays, when they're really difficult, you're better off with diagrams than just the code and trying to visualize it in your head. I mean, after all, you're visualizing in your head, so that does speak for something. So yeah, tips on solving tree-based problems. Well, write a lot of test cases, make sure that the algorithm is clear with you, and yeah, that's pretty much it. How to start with ML and become an, all right. So I have some more interesting questions for you guys. One of the things is, how do I start with comparative programming? This has been asked to me lots and lots of times, and I'll try to do justice to this question. Just go on any programming site like CodeChef, CodeForces, HackerEarth, HackerRank, any site that you like, maybe Euler project, anything, and try to solve problems. That's all. That's all you need to do. Just build a profile, look at the question, and try to solve it. If the question doesn't make any sense to you, which is the case, which was the case with me, then well, go for the easiest question, something that a lot of people have solved. In that case, what happens is, when you go for the easier questions, people actually understand what is the input and output format for this platform. They also understand a few other things, like what is the accepted answer, what is the compiler answer, what is the time complexity too large answer. And so if you're heading, you don't need to head from the very bottom and head to the very top. That would be a little too slow, because that's a linear thing. But you can skip about 2 or 3 questions every time, or you can, as long as you're comfortable, just make sure that you're moving ahead. And in this way, you have started off with comparative programming. You are a comparative programmer then. The problem that actually people are asking is not that how do I start with comparative programming, but how do I get good with it? So it's a very generic question as to how do you improve at something. So I have a few tips for you guys. First one is just be regular, right? Practice at least 3 problems per week is what I'm saying. But it can be any number X, but just practice those many problems at least. Make sure that you're doing at least 3 problems a week, because that's not too difficult. And once you're doing that, what's going to happen is you're going to have this habit of solving problems, and you're going to have this this practice of being in that mood of solving problems. Your brain is going to tune itself for that thing. The important thing here is to set reasonable targets. Don't set targets that are too easy. Don't set 1 problem a week, because your learning is not really at its optimal rate. In fact, your brain is not being challenged enough, so it's going to slow down. And if you're going for something which is very, very difficult, it's going to actually not be able to take that load. So it's almost like chess. When I'm playing chess versus Vishwanathan Anand versus if I'm playing chess against a 5-year-old, you have to go for something which is in between. Yeah, so that I don't get too anxious and too bored. Yeah, in general, if you're applying for an internship at any company, just apply. If your resume isn't up to the mark according to you, then work on it. There's projects, presentations, academics, contests, anyone that you find is not up to the mark, you have to work on that, right? And if your college is not one of the top tier colleges, that's like mine actually, well, there's not much you can do about it right now. What you could do is to stand out even more. So you have to take an even more conscious effort to stand out in those cases. And that's mainly done through contests, to be honest with you. So because you need to prove yourself as being the best. So to be the best, you need to be doing really well in contests. It's not necessarily programming, comparative programming contests. It could be hackathons also. It could be project contests. But contests are one of those things which actually, you can put a numerical value to it that rank X in this contest. Okay. Okay. Okay, I don't think the questions are that awesome right now. Okay, yeah, SDPT has a good question. What is your opinion on non-CS students who are interested in computer science, and what is your advice to them? Honestly, a lot of my friends in my job, whether it's been this job or the previous one, or a lot of my friends in general are from different branches. So it's not easy for them because they have to learn concepts which are different. But one of the wonderful things about being interested in computer science is that you can get good at it pretty quickly. You don't need that much hardware. You don't need any kind of deep theoretical knowledge before you can start programming immediately. So they are good and a little bit of problem solving skills and a little bit of programming, and they're doing pretty well in computer science. So my advice to you guys would be, if you're interested in computer science and if you did shift in your first year or whatever be the case, it's all right. It's not the end of the world. In fact, you can do really, really well even now. It depends entirely on you. You will be working harder than the normal computer science student because it's part of the curriculum. The teachers are going to actually give them that privilege of explaining concepts to them. You have to learn it by yourself, but you can do it. And a lot of people have done it. So best of luck. Is any certification useful? For what? Ankit Kumar, for what? What is the future of Perl developer? My India. Well, like I said, I mean, I can't tell because I don't know the future of a Java developer. I work code in Java, and I don't think there's a future as such for a Java developer. But for a developer, yes, there is a future. We will be programming on different parts of computer science, not so much on the programming languages. So the language we speak doesn't really matter. What we do matters a lot more. Shiram Singh, how do projects online based on any programming language whichsoever I am learning? Okay, how do you get projects on any programming language? Well, you could search for them. You could also pick up any general project. A project doesn't have to be done in Java. Well, you can pick up any project and just start in general. Okay, I think most of the questions have stopped. I think everyone is very satisfied suddenly. So I can pick up some of the ones which have been asked to me in the past almost year now, more than a year actually. Wow. Okay, one of the things I wanted to actually highlight here is that there's a lot of people who ask debugging questions like, I have this problem, can you please debug it for me? I don't know if they're listening, but don't do that. Yeah, because no one is really inclined to debugging anything. I mean, I hate debugging my own program, so I'm not going to be debugging anyone else's. What you need to do to fix the problem usually when it's a programming contest is to write a brute force solver which solves the problem correctly. Then you know the test case where it's failing. After you have done that, you can run a debugger, use good tools, use a good IDE, maybe IntelliJ, and basically make your life easier instead of trying and trying and trying. So once you have that in place, just try all your println statements and everything, and then once you can fix the problem, you just move on forward. The time and effort you're spending actually to send this question, please debug this, is more compared to what it would take you to do that. And in fact, your learning is going to be much higher if you do it yourself, right? And the second thing is when people are asking for help for a particular question, so why should you ask for help for a particular question if you want to solve it by yourself? And why would you ask that? So I don't see any sense. I think there was this guy on Quora, the Russian guy, I forgot his name. I love Tanya Romanov. Yeah, that guy, smart guy. He mentioned this in one of his Quora answers as to there's a lot of people from my country, thankfully not including me, who ask these kind of questions. And I don't think we need that kind of stuff going around. We should avoid that as much as possible. It kind of puts us in a bad light. Yeah. So don't. Okay. Aman Shukla, is studying algo and DS important for studying ML in the future? Well, it does give you a mathematical background. So if you're looking for that kind of thing, then yes, but not really. A statistician can also pick up machine learning pretty quickly. So it's mainly to do with getting inferences out of data. And you need a lot of data. You need a lot of mathematical models which you base your inferences. So based on those inferences, you make decisions. So you don't really need algorithms, so to speak. All the algorithms are decisions you make. Mainly your algorithms are on performance. So you try to make that decision quickly versus machine learning, which is not so much on quickness, but it is on accuracy. It is on a lot of data. It is on finding trends. So that's the main difference here. I'm unable to do the long challenge third problem. Oh, okay. I'm sorry to hear that. Keep trying, dude. You'll get there soon. Can you tell me Technomaniac? Tell you what, Rohit Sharma? Rohit Sharma, what are you doing over here? Shouldn't you be playing something? Yeah. Okay, Abhimanyu Chauhan. How much time did it take you to become a good comparative programmer? At what level was your approach when there was a saturation level? Okay. It took me a long time. It took me so I started in January 2014, I think. And it went on up to, I would say, July maybe, 2015. And I was intermittently coming back. So it was a long path. I did start making videos before I think I stopped programming competitively. Or maybe the other way around. I don't even remember. It was September 2015, I think. Yeah, so I had probably stopped by then. So by the time I got good at comparative programming, I would say that there were people who were already in the field who were doing extremely well. So it was more about a personal thing that, okay, I think now I need to invest less time on this and more time on my job and on other things compared to comparative programming. So it takes time. And it takes quite a bit of effort, but it happens. Okay, Abhishek Mahajan is asking an interesting question. I'm solving problems at CodeChef from 8 months, but my rating is not improving. I'm stuck to 3 stars. So here's the thing. Don't force yourself to try to improve your rating all the time. Okay. I know this sounds weird, but take your progress in chunks, maybe a weekly chunk, a monthly chunk. Don't be too harsh on yourself. And 3-star is not a swear word, you know. It's not something that you need to be irritated by or something. You're doing pretty well. There are plateaus in everything. You're getting better. Wait for the next level. And to improve that, to speeden that up, start reading the editorials. Start making sure that you actually program after the contest is over. The problems that you didn't solve need to be solved now. And I think one of the guys who did really well over here is Archit Jain. So he was talking about how do we go to the next plateau. I mean, basically breaking that plateau and going to the next level. So he was making a series. I'm not entirely sure if he had the time to finish it, but yeah, it's one of the places you can have a look. Or in general, in anything in life, you can just keep pushing. Tushar Tushar is asking, how much are system design questions a concern for a fresh graduate? Are they generally asked in the interview of a fresher? No, not really. Freshers don't have too much pressure when it comes to system design. They're mainly asked to explain their project and asked to explain the decisions. If they're too rigid or too concrete or extremely stupid, that's the point when it's a red flag. Otherwise, your projects are usually, they're handled by a professor. They're going to at least keep you in some sensible area. They also understand that who has taught you. I mean, you have done this all by yourself, and that's really commendable. So there's a lot of flexibility when it comes to freshers. When it comes to engineers who are slightly experienced, it becomes a very different ballgame, because why wouldn't we expect people to be smart after having worked in a company? Because if you have worked in a company and you've worked in a product and you're habituated to work haphazardly, that's not going to work. You're not going to allow that. That's the main thing about most companies. Kushal Vijay, can computer programming land me a good job? Yes, but importantly, I don't think you should have that attitude. I mean, not you specifically, Kushal. In general, us. A lot of people have started computer programming to land a job, and initially I thought this is okay, but it's getting a little worrisome, because many of the people who are programming competitively are doing it for getting a job. Some of them are successful, some of them are not, because they don't have the passion to keep pursuing their computer programming for that extended period of time. So I don't know if it's a good idea in general. I don't think it is a good idea. You could try solving interview questions and cracking the interview. Maybe I'm too idealistic, maybe I'm too stupid also, but I don't believe that that's the best way. Yeah. Okay. Shaurya Singhal, I have seen your comments a lot on my channel, so I'm going to answer your question. What is required to work on a project? Well, just work on it. Like, you need nothing specifically. You just need to know how to program for a computer science project. I mean, yeah, you need that. Okay, Pranjal Priyadarshini is asking me a really interesting question. Hi, Gaurav. How do you build a test case for a problem while reading the problem, or do you write the test cases after coding the solution? How to cover the corner cases effectively? Well, honestly, I don't write test cases ever for a problem when it is a computer programming problem. I didn't, at least, and I used to solve it. And once it failed, if it failed, then there were two cases where it failed. One was efficiency, and one was whether it wasn't debuggable. If it was efficiency and I couldn't mathematically prove that it is going to be efficient enough, that's a theoretical problem. I can't solve it by debugging. So the test cases are only going to check for correctness. I have, I think, 2 videos for this exact problem, where we write test cases, which are manual test cases, and there's automated test cases, basically a brute force solver which generates expectations, and then you can check with the other program whether they're valid or not. So that kind of thing really helps when solving a problem. To answer your question in a more clear way, I write the test cases after coding the solution, never before. Although there's a test-driven development in software engineering which states that you should probably write the test cases before. But for a programming contest, by the time you write the test cases, it's already taken a lot of time. So if someone can generate it for you, it'll be awesome. Okay. Is it late to start computer programming in second year? Nitish Kumar asks. I don't know about these days what's happening, but during my time, it was never late to start computer programming. I don't think it is at all. So you can start anytime you like. Saurabh Sharma, when will you teach us Netflix architecture? I'll give you a hint. Netflix architecture, the problem with that is it's an extremely complicated architecture. It's a huge system, and there's a lot of concepts to that. So I don't think I'll start with Netflix just like that. And it'll take some time. Sunny Srivastav, hey Gaurav, what's up? Yeah, I go insane. Insane. Rahul AR, how do I maintain consistency in computer programming? Well, in general, anything that you pick up, just stay regular, set your targets realistically, measure your goals, and you'll do well. Okay. Okay. Sunit Srivastav is asking another interesting question. Your questions are getting interesting, guys. I'm really proud of this community. What are your views regarding online courses for Algo and DS, and what courses would you suggest for the same? I don't think there's any like tremendous requirement for an online course for Algo and DS. Yes, it does help. A structured way does help. I think you should check out the CodeChef certification that they have. Not so much because I I've seen CodeChef a lot, but in general, CodeChef has a good certification program. I think Hacker Earth has this really nice way in which they've broken down problems according to their difficulty. So that's another really good place to look at. It won't give you a certificate, I think, but it's good to learn. And in general, if you're solving problems for contests, what happens is you solve the first 3 problems and then the first 4 problems, and basically with that you can tell that you're improving slowly. If not in a structured way, in an unstructured way, which is also sometimes very, very effective. Computer Science Corner, how do I build my own programming language? You could, but it's a long discussion. We'll have it some other time. So Gata Day, is learning Linux a good option? Yeah, I think so. A lot of the development usually goes on Linux. So I think at least for the backend engineers, Linux is critical to know. You could learn it in the job itself. So it's not that big a deal, but it is critical in the sense that once you come here, you'll have to learn it. Hanumant Guruji. Hi Gaurav, how do I get a job in the big companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Salesforce, etc.? So I have written an answer on Quora, I think, regarding this. And in general, you need to have your resume standing out. You need to have some good projects, good contest performances, and so on and so forth. You need to also be reasonably okay at your academics. I don't think they are very interested, but it's better not to have too many fails. Yeah. Does it really matter? I don't really know. I don't think so. So I'll skip that bit. Acads are important because you need to pass that test. And yeah. Okay. By the way, let me get to the important bits. A lot of people ask me what are some good channels for comparative programming. I mean, apart from mine. There's one of the things I really want to commend in these channels is they all have their own individual qualities. Okay, so the first one is Code Report. Code Report had actually asked me to give his channel a shout out a long time back, but I didn't on purpose because I wanted to see how much the person can go on without. I mean, I basically wanted to see if they have the should I say interest or the regularity. Basically, that's what I'm looking for. The regularity of Code Report in posting videos is really, really nice. So I think I can just post that over here in the chat. Code Report. This is one of the channels I would ask you guys to check out if you're interested in comparative programming. If you're interested in system design, the guy is mainly interested in comparative programming. So yeah. The second one is Code Archery. Code Archery is not so much for comparative programming, but he has these really cool animations. So Code Archery is interesting to check out. If you're looking for some algorithms to learn, this is a good channel. Thirdly, there is for dynamic programming, especially, there's a lot of questions being covered by Tushar Roy. I don't know whether I should mention it because he has far more subscribers than I do, but I'll just try to mention the best channels that I know. So Tushar Roy, one of the things about dynamic programming is that he just talks about how to solve the example and the code. Not so much gets into the algorithm and how it's going to move on in the diagram, but in 90% of the time, I would say that's enough. That's enough. You just need to see how the matrix is working, and that's all you need to know. You'll understand the algorithm just looking at it. Okay, Shisha Shankar, I'll get back to your question in 2 minutes. Okay, system design channel, Rahul Thakur, I'll get back to your question. Rachit Jain is another person who's a friend of mine. I'm sure I have already asked you guys to check that out, but he's got this channel on comparative programming. I think Tushar Roy and Rachit Jain have both stopped now. Probably they don't find the time to post videos, but yeah, these two guys are the closest to our community, apart from Code Report, of course, who's completely in the community thingy. And finally, I have taken another channel which I have done a collaboration with, which is Code in Game. But I really believe that this channel is really nice for learning about comparative programming or algorithms or AI. So they have this gaming thingy going on for them. So right, that's really nice. Top channels for system design. All right, top channels for system design. There's one channel on system design, but it's quite like focused on different things. So that is I would say InfoQ. Like it is system design, but it's a lot to do with other things also. So what developers do in general, and they talk about in this conference how they're going to work as developers basically. So that's one of the things. Coding Tech is also a really good channel. I think it's going to help you guys. Coding Tech. So these channels are things that I watch. I try to take a lot of content from them. I try to filter out the bits which are useful for us in general, and then what I try to do is I present it to you guys in a consumable way. Right. System design also. Tushar Roy is one of the guys who's getting into system design. But again, I don't really know. Maybe he's finding it difficult to find time for the channel. But yeah, it's a real good channel, like Tushar Roy. Okay, Nitanshu Vashisht is asking whether software developers' job is stressful or not. Not as, I mean, it's not any more stressful than a general job. So yeah, it's fine. Right. Lead code or interview bit, which one to prefer? I can't really tell. I haven't prepared for interviews for a millennium, and I didn't use either of those channels. But interview bit is interesting because they are working with system design. Lead code is interesting because recently I've been seeing their algorithms. So there's multiple sites I've been just checking out to see which one is the best for you guys, and I think both of them are interesting. So yeah. Okay, Rohit Sharma is an SD in US. He plans on moving back to India. A few product-based companies in India. Well, if you head to Bangalore, you're going to see a lot of companies which are product-based. A lot of companies which are product-based. There's Google, there's Amazon, there's tons of companies. So yeah, you can just have a look. What would I suggest? I haven't worked in too many of these companies, but people tend to prefer companies which are reasonably large, not too large, and which have interesting challenges for them. And some people prefer the brand name. So it depends on you, honestly. I can't tell which one would be the most, exciting company to work for, because I haven't worked in all the companies in Bangalore. So, but in general, I mean, there are popular companies and there are companies which are a little niche. So it depends on you. Yeah. Okay. Gaurav Bansal, would you advise to a 3-year starting student who has solved more than 100 problems on Accurate, have a decent knowledge in GSM algorithms? Okay, what would my advice be regarding what, Gaurav? Gaurav, sorry, I'm so sorry. So I don't really know. Project operator Sahil Singh. Head over to the video debate that we had. I mean, I and Rachit had. So in that, we try to check the pros and cons of projects and compare programming. Okay, I have been asked this question again quite a bit of times. It's the best books for competitive programming. So the best books for competitive programming, according to me, are Algorithms Unlocked. That's the first book that I would suggest to you guys. There's a really fun book, which is Algorithm Design Manual by Skeena. So that's really interesting. He's got these stories, these war stories, which are the best. I think they're wonderful, right? And the third one is for reference. That would be CLRS. That is common, more often. Known that way. CLRS is a really big book. So please, I have seen this question too much on Quora. Don't think you're going to solve CLRS entirely. Okay, take your time. Just use it for reference. And use blogs and stuff also for references. This is not the one-shot thing for everything in the world, but it's a really, really intensive book, also mathematically. So it's really good, but if you use it in the right way. Okay. Rishabh Jain is asking, does having termination from a company affect your chances of getting a new job? Non-compliance to office hours. Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course. Why would you have non-compliance to office hours? If you had a reason for that, then you could probably tell your human resource department as to why you're doing this. If they are not able to, take that, then they might just let you go just like that. But if you're being a moron basically by coming late to office and leaving early, and that's a little unethical also in terms of the contract that you've signed for work. So it's some of those things which doesn't do well, and the next company, when it does ask about you, could be told that this is one of the issues with the person. So don't do that if possible. Okay. Yash is asking, hi Gaurav, can you suggest some good websites for free courses for learning coding? Well, there's Coursera, there's lots of sites actually which you can pick up. Which is the language that you want to learn? There must be a specific site for that also. So you can go to any site that you like. If you're looking for learning coding, then you could start tons of channels, tons of resources. I really don't know what to say. Does something stand out for me? No, because I never had that issue of learning coding. I learned it in college, so yeah, I couldn't. In a sense, I wouldn't give you a source which is not college. Okay. What are the maths topics for great foundation in compared programming? Well, you need to know a little bit about number theory, which means prime numbers. You need to know about modular arithmetic. You need to know a little bit about how remainders work. Yeah, that's modular arithmetic again. And then there's GCD and stuff like that. So in general, a little bit of number theory is really good for you. There's more complicated concepts like the Chinese remainder theorem and stuff, but you can get there slowly. So those mathematical concepts which actually help you with finding out the computational complexity of an algorithm, and which also help you in certain algorithms, are the ones that you need. Will I be, okay, Bhavak Sharma is asking, will I be organizing meetups in Bangalore? Any chances? I think we are growing as a community, maybe sometime in future. I hope so. I hope we are large enough that we meet as a group, and should be fun. Should be fun. Okay, Anuj Gupta is asking, what is a gateway in your system design videos? I think we can have a personal message with that. Is there any like burning question that I need to answer? Okay. Right, I think we are pretty much we have talked about a lot of things in this Ask Me Anything. The one thing we haven't talked about is what is my favorite country and what books would I recommend. So once this chat is done, I can quietly go in a corner and cry about why people don't want to know about my personal life. Okay. What are my hobbies? Yeah, that's another question I'm feeling very sad about. Who is my ideal person in the world of competitive programming? Well, I don't really know, because they all stand behind a computer, and the only thing I know about them is they solve problems. So ideal person as such is not really there. Okay, Mr. Invadazoid is asking that he's a computer science engineer who's about to go through second year in college. Can you highlight an overall path that I should follow to land a great job in the said field? Well, and that in the second year, I would suggest that you keep doing really well in your practicals. It might sound silly, but make sure that you do your practicals by yourself. So in my college, at least during my year, I didn't see a lot of people doing their practicals by themselves. It was sad to see that, and it felt terrible, because it felt like you were the only moron who was doing the practicals most of the times, and it made a big difference though. I was the only one who could, like the only people who could do the practicals by themselves. There were quite a few people. I won't say everyone was copying, but maybe 10%, maybe 5% of the people were doing it themselves, and they were the people who knew about programming. The others were just hurting themselves. So yeah, just keep pushing. So to answer your question, in your second year, make sure you're doing really well in academics. Doesn't mean that you need to get good scores or good marks, but do well in academics. Know what you're studying. The second thing is you need to get into contests and make sure that you are at par with the really good guys. Okay, so if you're improving, that's good enough. I'm not saying you need to be the best in the world right away, but because you're playing with the best in the world, you will get better and better slowly. The third thing is you need to have a goal. Like, are you interested in doing an MBA later on? Are you interested in doing an MS later on? Just choose your goal a little early, maybe in your third year or your fourth year. If that is possible, then you will have a lot of your options narrowed down. So that would be really great, and you can invest your time more judiciously. So what do you like, and based on that, choose a path. And then, of course, based on that, you need to do a little bit of research, figuring out what is best for that path. For a software engineer, I can tell you, getting good at algorithms is an important bit of a software engineer. Being good at projects, building software is another important bit. These are the two key bits. And the third one, of course, is in general about humans, is you need to be good at communication. It makes a big difference in general. Shantanu Garg is asking me, I'll get to Osho, just give me 2 minutes. Shantanu Garg is asking, what do you do when you feel low? Like after a not so good contest or something similar? It's terrible. It's just like a normal match, a sport match, where you start imagining in the back of your head, what would have happened if I had gotten this? I would have reached this rank and I would have been this. It's best to get out of that moment as soon as possible and move on to improving yourself than to just stay there. Because staying there is not going to help you at all. It's just dreaming about what could have happened. Instead, take that, accept it, and move forward. It's much, much harder than me just saying it, but it's the right thing to do. So it might take you months, it might take you years, but inculcate that habit of, yes, this has happened. It could have been better. I'm going to, if I can learn from it, then okay. Otherwise, if it's a genuine mistake and I can't learn from it, it's okay. I'm just going to push it away and I'm going to move forward. Right? Osho is asking, okay, I'm not able to do questions on T's, graphs, and DP. What should I do? I don't know implementation also. Well, I think we've spoken about that a little earlier. You can have a look at this video later on. Okay, Ranjit D is asking, what do you do for earning currently? I work in a company. Right. I think we are, what's the time right now? Oh my God, Gali. We have spent 1.5 hours almost, 1 hour 15 minutes at least, talking about general stuff. So I think it's a good discussion, and yes, I can see that you guys are pretty active as a community. I'm very happy to see that, and I have to thank you guys for being here, coming here and listening, and also putting forward your doubts, letting everyone know about important things, right? So I'll see you next time then. Best of luck.